A few of you came along with me as I took a $20 Lodge cast iron skillet and polished it smooth in order to make it perform and appear more like a premium piece of cookware, or really more like a vintage skillet, like a Wagner or a Griswold. I ground down the high spots with an angle grinder, then used rotary and random orbit sanders to bring the surface to a smooth sheen. After this, I seasoned it with several cycles of flax oil. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but this is where I messed up and missed an essential step. I proudly showed off my new golden seasoning, and outwardly I was hopeful that in time and with enough cooking, it would deepen to the rich, dark black that a cast iron skillet should be. But inwardly, I strongly suspected that something was wrong. I had seasoned this thing 5 times and it was still very blonde and faint. For comparison, this is what my vintage pieces looked like after initial seasoning. They weren't black yet, that they acquired after a few more weeks of cooking, but they were clearly well on their way there just after the initial seasoning. The polished pan, not so much. And indeed, cooking on it over the next few months, even though I was using it frequently, only produced an uneven, weak, and ugly seasoning. I began to believe that the roughies were right. I just made it too dang smooth, and there wasn't enough texture for the polymerized oils to successfully cling to. I just couldn't call it a success. So I took my butt ugly pan back to the magical workshop in the woods. And I got to work. The only tool I used this time was the rotary sander. Note that a rotary sander is different and more aggressive than a random orbit sander. It purely uses rotation and not vibration. This time, I wanted to leave scratches. I used 100 grit paper and actually finished with a 60 grit paper. Wow, here it is. I actually put the 60 grit back on and went over it again to get deeper scratches.
Okay.
So this is 60 grit bottom.
I got some WD-40. Keep it from rusting.
I'll probably get some comments if I use WD-40 to season it. Okay, now I'm just gonna clean out some of the iron filings and oil it to protect the iron from rust until I can take it home, do a little vinegar simmer, and then season this. That's right, this commenter had reminded me of the option to use vinegar in order to chemically etch the iron and better prepare the surface for seasoning. White vinegar is acidic enough that it can microscopically eat away at that iron. And with the right combination of heat and time, this could be the part of the equation that I was missing. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this will unlock actual good seasoning and that this DIY will be a success. I used a 50-50 dilution of white vinegar and water, simmering it for about 10 minutes. When I washed the skillet clean, the effect was dramatic. Okay, whoa. First, there was a circle of rust where the steam had been trapped by the lid, but that scrubbed off easily enough. The more lasting effect was that the mirror-like silver surface was now a classic dull iron gray. Clearly, more had happened here than just etching. As I wiped at the surface with a cloth, that cloth repeatedly came away black. This residue is known as black rust or magnetite, and it forms pretty readily on bare exposed iron, especially when exposed to high heat. And heat itself is conducive enough to form this black rust, but acidic pH can also significantly boost and accelerate that process, an acid like white vinegar. Still iron coming off. Red rust, on the other hand, forms with high oxygen, moisture, a basic or neutral pH, and a lack of heat. Vinegar removes everything from the surface of the iron, leaving it primed to chemically react to the oxygen in the air. Any moisture will easily create red rust at this point, but without the moisture, black rust forms instead. Many cooks may try to wipe a bare skillet clean and get frustrated that this black residue just keeps on coming. This is because it is being continuously formed as you wipe the surface clean and expose more iron atoms to oxygen. I totally knew all this at the time. I was just wiping repeatedly for demonstration purposes. This also begs the question, how many wipes would it take to convert every single iron atom in a skillet to magnetite and make the cast iron skillet disappear? Future video? Anyway, that layer of magnetite is actually essential to the seasoning process. The presence of a good amount of this black rust allows the oils, as they polymerize, to bind more effectively to the iron surface underneath. And maybe you all knew this already. I didn't somehow, but there it is. I actually didn't need to know this before because every skillet I'd restored previously was taken out of a lye bath. Lye does not interact at all with the iron itself or with iron oxides like black rust. It does not remove the magnetite from the surface. So after the lye removes everything else, you got that nice magnetite layer on top of your iron, which is a great base for your seasoning. But sanding your iron skillet smooth does remove that magnetite, which I've learned is important. So I popped it into the oven at 400 degrees for 3 cycles of hour-long seasoning. Here's the result. If you look closely here, you can see that there are actually 3 distinct areas of the skillet. The darkest, best seasoned area was submerged in the simmering vinegar. The second darkest area was exposed to the steam of water and vinegar. And the lightest section here was above the lid, and thus it didn't get any vinegar exposure. I've been cooking on this skillet for more than a week now, and the seasoning is way better this time around. Here's a very close-up comparison of the surface of this pan at different points in this process. First is what the pan was when it came into my possession. Now, it wasn't straight from the factory. My parents gave it to me after many years of it sitting in their cabinet, but close enough. Next was after polishing it with up to 240 grit, if I remember correctly. As you can see, seasoning it left barely any polymerized oil on the surface, and it never developed properly even after months of cooking. Then there's the surface after I scratched it up, followed by what it looks like right now after the vinegar simmer, seasoning, and cooking on it. Compare that to my vintage Wagner surface, which is the ideal I'm shooting for. I'm not done experimenting though. I'm determined to perfect this process, and I don't think I'm quite there yet. Subscribe if you want to go on that journey with me.